And welcome back to the Unpatched Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler.
And I am Zack.
I am so excited, Zack. Finally, I get to share with you one of my all-time favorite games, Chrono Cross. I have been recommending this game for many years. Probably the most recommended game. That and Shadow of the Colossus. But we did play that for our first episode, which is Forever Lost.
The lost episode.
The lost episode, Forever Lost.
I could fly so very high and touch the sky.
Not in Chrono Cross. You actually can't fly in Chrono Cross.
What a shame. I'm quitting.
Maybe. I don't remember. It's been a minute. A couple of years since I played. 2 years ago, actually, when we were still testing how the cast would work, I decided to pick up Chrono Cross again. I played all the way up to that boss in the Sea of Eden, and I put all of my stock into Harley, and for some stupid reason, didn't think, oh, just use turn white. That would have worked, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, not only are we here to talk about Chrono Cross, but we're here to have some beer.
Burr.
Please tell me about it.
Yes, so this is one that I have fallen in love with. I've bought like 4 bottles so far. But this is from Jester King.
Love
down
him.
Here in Austin. And this one's called Vague Recollection. It is a black Spanish and Cabernet Sauvignon barrel-aged beer. Well, actually, technically it's not barrel-aged. It's a grape pumice.
What?
A grape pumice, which I don't actually know what that is, so I'm not going to try to explain it. But it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool glass O beer, so I'm excited for you to try it.
I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, seriously, this is one of my favorites from them now. Unfortunately, it is a limited release.
I've already poured some for Amanda, so
Okay,
we
good.
can go to town.
Top you off there, but yeah, it's probably in my top 3 from them now. I'd say
they're so good, dude.
They really
it's
are.
hard to. I mean, I guess they have some general releases that you call your favorite, but they release so much.
Here. No whales here is
that's a good one.
Big for me.
They release so much, dude.
They do, and some of them are one-offs.
Yeah, like they did a mushroom farmhouse a couple weeks ago. Well, it was probably 3 months ago now. And I follow them on Instagram, and so I see it, but it comes across in my feed like the next day, and there's only 5,000 bottles, and sure, I could go to see if there is one, but there likely isn't.
Yeah, and it's an hour drive. Easy.
Cheers.
Cheers indeed. Clink.
So, we are here to talk about Chrono Cross. We have a couple rules here on the Unpatched Gaming Podcast. One of them was a Chrono Cross remaster coming out. We're going to drop what we're doing. Now, this one's obviously a little late just because we're back in all of our episodes. As you will have seen, we released a bunch back-to-back. So thanks for sticking around through that gap if you are a returning listener. Another rule is if there is a re-release for Bloodborne, we are going to stop whatever we're doing to play Bloodborne. I've never played it. Zach's top 10, probably.
Very close, yeah.
And
it's my second favorite FromSoft game.
Another rule being Hollow Knight.
Silk Song.
If Hollow Knight Silk Song ever comes out, which I don't believe it will, I think what probably happened was everything got deleted and the game doesn't actually exist anymore.
What I think happened is it was so beautiful and perfect, it literally was assumed into heaven by the hand of God.
Yes. And then in seeing the power and the glory of God, everybody died.
Everyone just died. Yeah. It was really just a magnificent moment.
But if our saving grace were ever to come back, that being Hollow Knight Silk Song, then yeah, we would stop what we're doing and fall to our knees.
Oh, and anytime I feel like playing Battle Network 3 again, that no,
we wouldn't even have a podcast at that point.
Yeah, I love playing that game so much, dude. Yeah. What if they're never gonna release those games again?
If we're still doing this next year, let's do
many, like the Zero games and the ZX games on Switch.
It's the only ones that they haven't touched.
This and Legends, I guess.
Legends has been released elsewhere though. Like they just have not touched these games, right?
Yeah, pretty much. These ones, and I feel like there's one more spin-off. No, that's it. Those are the major spin-offs. So Yeah, it's this one. And Legends, though, I mean, hasn't been released in a long time. Long time. So a lot of people think that's what's coming next, actually, because Capcom has an announcement coming up soon. So probably by the time you listen to this, they'll have announced it, and it will probably have been Legends on Switch.
But if it's not, and
And
if it's a full collection of all of those,
I will be buying like 8 of them, so people know
yes,
that I want more
you
of
can
these
buy one
games.
for me.
Yeah.
I will probably play 5? You said I should play 5.
I think you'd like 5. It's unique because the liberation system.
Yeah.
It's nothing special, but like it's definitely fun and it keeps things fresh. 6 is a lot of people likes to go to 6 because it's really the culmination of a lot of the mechanics. It does drop some of the unique complexities of 3.
Okay.
In fact, all of them do, really.
I haven't tried this beer yet, dude.
Dude, try the beer. But yeah, 3 has just the most variety and the best player incentives for sure.
That's really good, dude. Especially this like slightly more than room temperature, slightly above room temp. So like as I would drink a red wine.
Yeah, and it has this I don't know, this simple bitterness. It's not like a hoppy bitterness that you'd expect from a beer. It's just like a really clean, simple bitter that
I noticed that immediately, but I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah,
That's
it's just really nice, man.
Yeah.
And it has some of that fruit on the front.
It's not as dry as a cab would be.
No.
And I know it's a beer. I'm not comparing it to wine directly, but yeah, it's not the bitterness that's like in the back of your mouth. Of the hoppy bitterness that really just overtakes everything that's happening in your mouth. But there is a dryness there that comes from drinking a little bit of red wine.
Yum.
But a little softer. I like this. This is good. This is really good.
It's one of my favorites from them. It's also not as tart as a lot of their beers, so it's one I think would.
Oh yeah, they go when they say farmhouse, they mean it. They wash their feet in that beer, dude.
Full week-long wear socks on, baby. Anyway, so let's talk about one of your favorite video games. Would you like to start us off with your little childhood history?
Yes, I will. I'll go into detail of how I came about Chrono Cross for the first time. I was staying with my grandparents in Washington. I did that many summers growing up. And Washington State, that is a beautiful, beautiful place. You just got back.
Yep,
yeah, you were in Seattle for a couple of weeks, right?
I landed, and it's been years since I've been there. I think the last time was like 15. And so, not 15, like I was 15. Like I was 15 years old. And I landed, and the Uber guy's taking me, into downtown. And I said, dude, there's trees? Like green trees here? He's like, yeah. Like... what even is that? Like,
yeah, our cities here do not have that. Our cities are just
it's a very clean city, Seattle.
Yeah, I remember last time I was there, which is it's been a few years.
I spent a lot of time South Lake Union, Pike's Place, so like keep that in mind. But like it's very clean.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Oh, you didn't have a chance to go to Pink Gorilla, did you?
I did not.
Alas, didn't have a lot of time for anything.
Yeah, dude, I was working like 15+ hour days.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like a real working person.
Real person. Yeah, I feel like I joined the members of society for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was visiting my grandparents, and I had a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards at the time, and I was staying over with a friend, and he had just a basket of all of his PlayStation games, just sort of thrown in this dumb little bucket or something. And I was digging through that, and it's like a bunch of the shooter games at the time, sports games. There's some Metal Gear Solids, Siphon Filter, just a bunch of man's games. And then Chrono Cross is sitting there
in man's country.
And I had a couple of really good cards in my deck at the time, and I was enamored with the cover, just everything that was going on. I was just staring at it for a while, and my other two friends were like doing something else, maybe playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Maybe playing a game, instead of looking at one.
And he's like, "Hey, if you give me those 2 cards, you can have that. I don't like it. It's a stupid game." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I couldn't play it till I got home. So like a month later, I got home, stuck it in there, and it just overtook my life for like a year. Because when I played games when I was younger, especially games like this, I was dumb. If it was an attack, I would use it. I wouldn't, use turn white. When I was playing Pokemon, no status effects. It was all the strongest move. I would use Earthquake 5 times, and then I would use Hyper Beam 5 times.
Oh yeah, because it had the highest damage.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I would do. So this game took me forever to beat for the first time. Probably a little over a year. Just because you can't really do that. It's not a difficult game. In terms of those older JRPGs, that era of JRPG, it's pretty easy compared to most of them. But I was having a hard time.
Dude, I played Final Fantasy V like last year. That's a kick your nuts kind of game, man.
Yeah.
Like if you are not on top of your jobs and like really managing like who's doing what role and crossing your job classes correctly, like you're boned.
Yes.
You're just boned.
There's a game we played recently that
and it'll wait till like halfway through to really wall you. So you'd have to literally start the whole game over if you messed up. It has one of my favorite boss designs, though. It's literally just a portal.
Okay.
Like, it's just this portal with, like, kind of almost what you'd consider, like, an angelic beast twirled around it. Like, so, like, a lion head that kind of twists into, like, a goat head or whatever. And that's the circle around this portal. And it's literally just this void. It's into this void, and it's just starting to consume all things.
Interesting.
And it's really.
I'm going to show you.
I think you can summon it in Final Fantasy IX, actually.
Okay.
Anyway.
We've not played Final Fantasy IX yet.
Oh, I want to so bad.
Yeah, I want to go back. I want to play 8, 9, and 10. I want to play 10 so bad.
Yeah, I want to play all of those as well for very different reasons.
Yeah, we'll probably do them for the cast sometime. I'm going to show you a magic card when we're done called Revel Arc that reminds me of this portal you're saying. But I played this game for a long time, and I did not have internet for a long time growing up, and I didn't even have a PlayStation to play this on. I got my first PlayStation like a couple weeks before it left the shelf. The PlayStation 2 was already well into its life cycle, so it was probably 2003 that I got a PS1. Yeah,
you get a GameCube right at the end of its life.
Yeah,
what a great
I got
time.
a GameCube. I spent I traded in everything on my PlayStation except for Chrono Cross. I kept because really I don't even know if I could have traded it in, which I'll get to in a minute. But I traded everything in and got a GameCube, Pikmin, and a volleyball game without a memory card.
Super Mario Spikers?
No, it was a Sega volleyball game.
Heard.
I picked that up recently.
Dead or Alive.
Shame. No, not Dead or Alive. I picked up a copy very shamefully last year, or maybe the year prior, of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance.
Yes.
At, the going rate. The going rate. But he had a stack of a lot of GameCube games, and in there, just with all the garbage games, was this volleyball game. I was like, I have to.
Yeah.
I have to get
Comparatively, it's pennies.
Yeah, correct. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I played the hell out of this game. I was enamored with the characters. As nonsense as the story here, or really most JRPGs are, I drank it. And I didn't have internet for a long while, and I didn't have a guide for it. So I had a notebook that I was keeping track of everything in. And I got to the point where like it was a scrapbook for me. I was drawing a lot of pictures in it. And then I remember I put the game discs in a CD book, and then I chopped up the manual and the front and back cover, and just like put all that stuff into my scrapbook. I just loved Chrono Cross, dude. I loved it.
Please
and the music.
You didn't lose that scrapbook.
Oh no, it's gone. It's totally gone.
No,
it's totally gone. Yeah. But I've played it to completion twice, and played through it significantly 3 other times.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's been with me for a long while, and that's my history with this game. And I was so giddy, almost to tears, with the announcement for the remaster, which we'll talk about the remaster.
Which is so wonderful they chose to do this and not Trigger for 2 reasons. One, that Trigger's got some love on the DS already,
Yeah.
You know, which isn't a modern system.
And then
but it
again
still
with
needs some love.
the Nintendo. Well, isn't Trigger on the Switch Online?
Yes, it was or is or it was at some point and may right now be.
Okay. And it was on the Super Nintendo Lite, the little thing they
Yeah,
released.
but it's just nice that they gave this game some love.
Yeah.
And it's also nice because Trigger shot up like $30 in value when they announced the Cross was the remaster.
Of course.
So I just sit there. I got that game.
I still have a sealed copy, dude, on the DS.
Crazy. I got mine for like $45.
The only reason I still have it is because I'm waiting for a moment where there's a significant discrepancy between a sealed and non-sealed copy. It's crazy. It's one of the only games I've seen like this where a sealed copy of the one without the there's a copy with a poster that comes inside, a like 8-panel fold-out poster. That goes for a ton of money. But the sealed copy without that poster and just a non-sealed copy are like $30 or maybe $40 in difference. It's not even worth me selling at that point. Like some games, like I had a sealed copy of a Dragon Quest game, and I made like $120 on that game after selling it and buying the open
I'm
copy.
super sad I missed that train of all those Dragon Quest DS 3DS
Oh, yeah.
games. It's gone forever. I'm never going to buy those games.
No, never. The only one I would like to get, but it's still way too much money for me. I doubt 8 on the 3DS. Yeah. Because that's the one I'm most interested in. And then
it's also the longest.
Oh, is it?
It's the
I didn't
longest.
know that.
I think it's nearly or over 100 hours.
Oh my god, dude!
It's super
Probably
long.
never play it then.
Yeah,
I've got it on PS2. I
With the
could play
Persona
it.
5.
Yeah, I just the pirate theme is so fun.
Oh, it's great.
But we don't have a lot of games like that. And then to be like a silly Dragon Ball Z style JRPG,
Pirate.
but pirates. That's great. It's the most unique one, I
Pirate
think.
media is so hard to do well in like movies and books and stuff. But dude, a pirate video game, like I'm in, no questions.
Yes.
That's why they do Pirates of the Caribbean like every time they can in Kingdom Hearts. It's like,
Yeah.
let's do this.
I'm actually very interested in the upcoming. What's the pirate anime? One Piece. Yeah, there's a an open world One Piece game coming out.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely interested in that, just because we don't have a ton of pirate games.
So really quick, JRPGs for you typically turn your nose up quite often at JRPGs in discussion, and yet this and a few others hold some pretty close places in your heart. Like how would you quantify that discrepancy, I guess? And when did it happen as you were growing up? Because you did mention that when you were younger, you just kind of ate JRPGs. Not hate. You just ate them.
Yeah, that's all I played. In fact, we, my parents, goodness gracious, we had a sort of book burning situation for me where we burnt all of my video games at the time, anything that was basically a JRPG, all of my Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards, anime, stuff like that. We just burnt it all literally in the church parking lot.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
True backwoods church right there.
Yes, it was nuts. But anyway, at the time, all I was playing was JRPGs. And now that doesn't mean that that's by myself anyway. I'd play a lot of things with friends. So I played Tales of Symphonia a couple times, Chrono Cross, obviously, Final Fantasy 1 through 4, and then I played 7 as well. Never finished 7, but I played 7. There were probably a couple of things. Oh, it was JRPG enough, but my parents didn't mind because it was Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings: The Third Age.
Oh yeah, I played The Third Age.
Yeah, I had some fun with that. I feel like it's probably a terrible game, so I don't think I'll ever play it again, but I had fun with that. And anything I could get on the Game Boy as well. Though surprisingly, I never did play Golden Sun.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know how you skipped Golden Sun.
Yeah. I even played the Game Boy games on Final Fantasy. I mean, the Final Fantasy games on Game Boy. Those, what was it, like Final Fantasy Legends or something? I played both of those. I just never got around to...
Legends? No, it's something else.
Legends might not be right.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's all I played. And then after that, and actually... they had got me to agree to it. That's what's terrible. They had gotten me to agree to that book burning. But this was after my taste. Yeah, dude. After my taste had sort of shifted anyway, I found Metroid Prime. Early on,
Talk about
just
an
after.
awakening moment.
Yes.
Dude,
I'd played some other Western games, which I know Metroid is a Nintendo, but Metroid Prime is a Western game through and through. I played Ape Escape. That's a Japanese game, but not a JRPG. I played Ape Escape. I played the first 2.5 Jack games with a friend. I never had a PS2, and then Prince of Persia. So right around the same time, I came into Jack, Prince of Persia, and Metroid Prime, and that's when I wasn't playing many of those games anyway, and I got rid of them.
Yeah. See,
I
for me,
burnt
it was
them at
interesting.
church.
For me, it was interesting. The GameCube was first for me, so actually, Metroid Prime was my one of the first games that really woke me up to video games. But before then, I'd played quite a few games that had a big impact, like Chrono Cross on me, Battle Network, of course. But funny, we'll talk about it later. But one of the games that I'm going to bring up later came later after Metroid Prime for me. So, that's so. A lot of this kind of, visceral, all-encompassing response that you had to Chrono Cross, I've found to be the case for many other people. At least that I know personally. A few YouTubers who are like big JRPG people, they always talk about just, that game that just everything in their little tiny child brain all of a sudden came alive at this over-the-top ridiculous video game. For a lot of people, like for one of my friends, it was Final Fantasy, as he calls it, 2 and 3, right? Because he played them on Super Nintendo.
Okay.
So for
what is that, 5 and 6?
4 and 5, 4 and 6,
okay.
4 and 6, yeah. So it just came alive, for him. That's all he loved playing was JRPGs. For my friend Jordan, for those of you who don't know, my friend Jordan is a police officer who is one of the most muscular people on the planet. And he's like, mixed martial arts. He trains close quarters combat at the police academy. Like after just a year of being there, like the guy is intense, right? And he and I were just kind of talking like, yeah, whatever. Nice to meet you. And then he just kind of, threw in there. I was talking about video games like, oh dude, you like Final Fantasy 7? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, dude, that game is the reason I'm like alive. And he goes into this huge tirade of like these ideas for like stories that it gave him, and like how he just write in his journal about Final Fantasy 7 fan fiction, and like, it just overtook him. And I was like, you? So like it's not this, isolated event. It's very, I think there's something universal to it, and a lot of times it is a JRPG for people.
Yeah.
For me, it was Battle Network 3. It doesn't quite check the, turn-based box or the gameplay box, but the ridiculous over-the-top story that's really heavy-handed, and the huge cast of characters, and the anime designs, and the, all of this stuff, it's there. And these games are like light bulbs for people.
Dude, following generations, I feel like are going to miss that, because what are the games the past 2 or even 3 generations, 2 generations, I guess, after us, have had? It's Minecraft and Fortnite. That's all people talk about. Five Nights at Freddy's. That's a big one. I don't think we're going to have much like that.
Neighbor.
Hello, neighbor. Oh my god.
No, you're so right. Like, nobody shuffles through their cousin's box of PS1 games to find this weird looking anime-ass thing, and they just shove it in their PlayStation and play it for a year. Like, it doesn't happen. Nor to sound like curmudgeons. I think with the right facilitation, these moments still happen. Because I want to bring about...
Yeah, but so few people do that. It's like, go play Fortnite and don't talk to me.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
So here's something crazy. So when I was playing Chrono Cross, from moment 1, starting the game, being, after you do the little intro and you're on the island, the music, the hand-drawn backgrounds, everything, even some of the designs, I was like, I'm in Kingdom Hearts. I'm in Kingdom Hearts 1 right now. I'm on Destiny Beach right now. What is happening? And you explore the world and some of the designs and stuff, and then the music just keeps going.
Keeps giving.
And it's so good. And some tracks are just verbatim tracks.
Beautiful.
In Kingdom Hearts. And of course Kingdom Hearts came later, so take your feel from that. But like
it used a lot from Square's repertoire, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's got its own unique tracks, but there's a lot from Final Fantasy, isn't there?
There's some.
Okay.
Some. But all that to say, which is funny because that game was one for me. That was a light bulb where I would go outside the trampoline and Nick and I would pretend we were Heartless and like fight each other. And like if you won, your Heartless would get stronger to the next level of Heartless or whatever. Like, we do that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just that your creativity just exploded out because of this game. And to this day Kingdom Hearts is, top 10 favorite games of all time for me. 1 and 2. And there's something there, some bottled magic there that just, fires on all cylinders for people of that age in particular. I have here the music, the tone, the atmosphere, the mawkish good-naturedness of like the story. It's just very sincere, heavy-handed, obvious, and it's all there. All the same little tiny elements fit into this picture of whatever this bottled magic is for people. It's something I can't quite quantify.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's really hard to, because it's so far behind us, and like we have Chrono Cross, but we don't have every moment, or Kingdom Hearts, but we don't have all those little moments. We just have this sort of. This is weird because I was, in church the other day talking about this, but like Chrono Cross is on my shelf, and that entire shelf, the middle shelf of the 3 that I've got, is sort of this Ebenezer of my childhood. It just all these relics. We have the thing, but we don't have all those little moments. So of course it's difficult to quantify, but we can remember it well enough by looking at, Chrono Cross standing up on. I switch between Chrono Cross and Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, putting it on the standee instead of on the shelf, spine forward. I stand one up to be displayed. And you've got these little relics. But yeah, I think we'll be able to quantify those moments better when we can see them happening in real time. Which is one of the reasons I'm so appreciative of this remaster. As bad as I think the remastered portion actually is, I don't like it very much. I think the backgrounds, they detract pretty significantly from the original. And then, of course, it performs like garbage on the Switch. But I think the Switch is where it performs best. I think it was a Digital Foundry video I was watching, and it seems like the Switch is the best place to play it. But you can just switch to the classic mode and play it in widescreen, like a native widescreen. So it's preserved. It's all there. And play it like it still looks great. The HD models are not that much better. I think that's the only thing that is a direct improvement in my opinion, because the performance is worse. I don't like the new portraits as much in the new one, and then of course the backgrounds being passed through that that AI upscaling thing. The painterly effect is interesting, but it's not as good. So I've got the original package there, fully playable on a modern system that's going to be around for a very long time, unless Nintendo does what Nintendo does and just makes a new form factor with their follow-up, which honestly I wouldn't put past them, but would be so dumb to not just continue with the Switch cartridge as it is. Or like they did with the 3DS, they have the little notch so you can't put it in. Just something like that. Same form factor though. I have it and I can pass it on. And so if I can show that to my kid and they're interested, I'm sure I can see those moments happening in real time.
Yeah, and there is something there that's tied to creativity in almost all the stories that I hear, where people start writing or thinking or collaging or whatever, like something of your own comes out from these things. They draw out the best ideas in you and really work as both seeds and the growing mechanism there. And it's really, there aren't many games like that. And the ones that I can think of are so often JRPGs. It's so weird. And I think that it gives me more of a respect for them, especially playing Chrono Cross right now. And while not being in that stage of my life, plugging it into that stage of my life is so easy. It happened automatically.
I have a feeling that what it is the reason it's JRPGs that is so often is that a lot of Western games, especially around that time, seem to be, there was like a homogenization with design. Design around the world is so eclectic these days, but certainly moving from the PlayStation 2 into the PS3, there's just so much of the same happening. And this game, while it's on PS1, I'm pretty sure the PS2 is already out at this point. It came out in 2000, maybe 2001. Not quite sure. So 2000 or 2001. But the next year, Final Fantasy X came out. So the latest of PS2 games, or PS1 games, that is, you were in the era of the Xbox, GameCube, and PS2 already. And I think a lot of Western designs, so much of what you see on the shelf was Call of Duty, even though it was more interesting, I think, back then. The sports game of the time, many shooter games. But when you look at Japan, that's where so much of the creativity was happening. Even if with the sort of anime styles, there's a lot of homogeny there as well. Not just in the visual design, but I mean, just like what you're doing in the games. Even in that sort of homogenized space, there's more uniqueness than what you were seeing in the West at the time.
I think part of it too is the simplicity of the plot, which is funny when you talk about something like Final Fantasy VII, right? Which has this really mangled, convoluted plot. Kingdom Hearts, the most mangled, convoluted plot. But it is immediately recognizable and immediately palatable as a story because it is so over the top. It is so heavy-handed and obvious in the moment. They're using huge words like heart and darkness, and they just plug into so much for a child, right? Or a younger person, that it draws that down in a space that they can understand. And I think that's a huge part. I think that goes in. I think that also the unbridled nature of it, where it is just unafraid to be stupid and senseless, or just do something absolutely crazy.
Yeah, like in Chrono Cross,
a game about Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah, that's freaking weird.
Crazy.
Dude.
But it's just immediately, so it's that draws it down easily for someone to understand because of the words and the simplicity of it, while also being able to draw them up into this crazy unhinged level of creativity.
I agree. That's probably the bigger part. Well, let's move. Anything else about your childhood and JRPGs?
I could talk about it all the time. The only thing I really wanted to ask you was, do you think that, because you mentioned stuff like Fortnite and these things, do you think that, first of all, can any modern JRPGs really compete with that?
No, never.
Compete with that, I agree. The second is, if those didn't exist, would they be providing a similar effect to someone of our age back then?
I'm sorry.
Like, would a modern JRPG in a world without the Fortnites and the Minecrafts, would it be able to grasp have the same effect that Chrono Cross did or the Kingdom Hearts did on us?
No, because it would be stuff like, and it was even, what's it called? Undertale. I did a summer camp. I was working at a summer camp when that game came out, and every kid there was playing Undertale. So I guess I'm kind of wrong that it doesn't happen. Undertale is a great example of that happening. And games are different today.
But what
Like
about,
like
like-
Nick's game as a child. Yeah, that was Terraria. So there are still those games, but no, if without those JRPGs and without the old JRPGs, and then without stuff like Fortnite, Five Nights at Freddy's, whatever I said before, goodness, Minecraft. Without those things, I still don't think modern JRPGs would be capturing imagination for a few reasons. A lot of JRPGs today are pretty mature. You know, we look at something like
Persona 5.
Persona 5, correct. That's a very mature game. And then you look at stuff that Square Enix has been putting out lately. Final Fantasy 13 to now, even 16, what I've seen of 16, those are
very
boring in comparison.
Very different.
At the
they're
very
trying to be
least boring, at the
grounded and,
most just
I think
bad.
there's a maturity to them, which that's the wrong word, because what I've heard people say about Final Fantasy IX makes me think it'll be my favorite, because they talk about it as an extremely mature and kind of a mature farewell to what Final Fantasy was, but while maintaining that simple, raucous childhood glee and wonder that was trying to be, elicited in the Final Fantasy ones on the NES.
Yeah.
Where your imagination had to do a lot of the work, right? That's what makes me think something like that would stand out. So I agree. I think that after 10, when they kind of went away from well, I don't know. I can't speak to 12, but after they went away from turn-based, it did seem to change more than just the combat. There seemed to be a change in heart that happened.
Yes, and you can see that with 12, because 11 was another MMO.
I think 7 Remake had some of it though. 7 Remake had some of that in there. I think a lot of it came from it being
7.
7. Yeah.
Yes, but even 7 and 8. While there's still some of that because it was of that era, they were obviously trying to move in
I don't know.
the direction we're
think
in
that-
now.
I think 7 has the same impact as something like 4 or 6. Like, I really think it does, because of the number of people who cite that as the most influential thing in the world.
I suppose.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise I would agree with you, because of my experience with it, which I did really like it, and I played it to the end for reasons I didn't expect. But it definitely, I played it too late for it to be that game for me.
Yes. Shoot, what was the question?
Just, are there any JRPGs that could have that same
No,
effect?
no, I don't think so, because if it's not Persona, it's modern Final Fantasy, and 13 is way too obtuse.
What about maybe Dragon Quest?
Dragon Quest.
I don't know enough about Dragon. I haven't played a single one. In fact, I need to fix that. Just play a Dragon Quest.
Yes, Dragon Quest 8. Or
6, 8, or 11.
11. I've got 11 as well. That looks pretty fun to me. Anyhow, Dragon Quest, I don't know. I really don't, because I again have not played a Dragon Quest game, but a Dragon Quest seems to just be Dragon Quest. And aside from, with very few exceptions, of course there's spin-off stuff, but the mainline Dragon Quest games, with few exceptions, seems to just be like Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if that would capture anybody today.
I think
like
one
before.
that could. So stuff like Pokemon's too simple. It doesn't prick the imagination in the same way.
No,
right?
definitely not.
Something that I wonder, it's a little bit, nobody really played it with that intent, I don't think. Nobody that I know of.
Yoku's Island Express.
Ni no Kuni.
Huh.
I think Ni no Kuni might not have the bombast required, but it's really special.
Yeah,
got
I wish
a
I
lot
had
of
more
those
time. I started it. I'm like in the tutorial area, but we've
It gets
just
bigger and
been
bigger.
busy.
It gets bigger.
I mean, I haven't even done a battle yet.
Oh wow, yeah. It just keeps getting bigger, man. It's a great game.
Yeah.
In fact, I wish that they had a version that didn't have all the White Witch extras, because I just think that last dungeon's a little bit too much.
Is it required?
Yeah, it's part of the main story now.
Huh.
But she's nowhere near as interesting as Shadar. I remember his name. It's been years. Wow, that's a good game. He's nowhere near as good as Shadar, and maybe it's not Shadar. Maybe I'm just making that up because I've been reading real time. Whatever.
Anyway.
That guy. He's a way more interesting villain. His boss fight was very intense and worthwhile, and I felt like I earned it. The White Witch boss fight is a slog. It is not fun. It is so bland. And if you need to go out and get more items and stuff, you should go out through the whole dungeon. It's definitely like for those who beat the first one kind of dungeon, which should have just been an optional one, I think. So anyway.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think there is much of anything in modern day that could that will capture kids like before. One, because of the games that we do have now, or that they have rather, that kids play, and yeah, what we've already said.
It is Shadar.
I'm looking through our collection right now to see if there is anything from modern day, because it's things like Celeste. I see this here as well. I think it's a different.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just different sensibilities for different generations. So I'll actually even retract my statement for about Fortnite and the three I've already mentioned. I'll retract that statement and sort of adjust that a bit, because that's the majority of what the majority of kids are playing. But stuff like Celeste and Undertale Breakthrough, or what's the farming
Minecraft,
one?
It depends on how they're playing. Like, Minecraft can be really, really awesome.
I'm not saying any of those games are not good
in the same way. Like, can really like prick a child's imagination and get it going.
Oh, yeah. If that's exclusively what we're talking about,
no, it's not.
Minecraft is the supreme example.
Yeah. So I think that's a huge part of it. So maybe. Mm-hmm. But you're right, it is different. It's in a different way. There's something about a JRPG.
There is, but there's something about small games like Undertale, Celeste. What else do we have? The farming game, the indie farming game.
Stardew Valley.
Something about those as well. Or Terraria, as Nick, Josh, and his few friends have all expressed.
Delved into.
Yeah. There's a final, what was it, 11-year farewell to the game last year. There was a final massive update. And they all got back together and played it. They're all married, or some of them are married, or out of college, and have moved away, but they all got together and played through all of the content again. That there's something to be said about that.
I agree.
So yeah, just different sensibilities for different generations.
Balan Wonderworld.
Shut your dumb mouth. I was about to say a bad word. I hope that the parents that allow for Balan Wonderworld to be that game for their child are put in prison.
Because it's basically the worst form of child torment that you could possibly inflict on someone. Ruin them for the rest of their lives.
Maybe Eternal Sonata will be that for a child one day.
Maybe Transformers Devastation needs to be played.
No, so right now we're still looking through the list of our games. We use Collector's Games, that app, and these games are all next to each other. Do you know what Eternal Sonata is?
Yes.
I want to play Eternal Sonata.
That's fair.
Very badly.
That's fair.
All right, let's move it on here, man.
Yeah, let's just kind of pare it down. Talk about just Chrono Cross. It's a pretty simple game, man. I do like the combat system. So a quick breakdown of what makes it interesting is your three characters that you're fighting with have stamina, and you have 3 levels of physical attack. You have level 1, level 2, level 3, light, medium, heavy. Heavy being the least % chance to hit, light being the most. But as you land hits, your % chance to hit increases. It's very simple. So a light attack takes 1 stamina, medium 2, heavy 3.
Really You've got simple. 7.
You got 7 total. At any point, as long as you have the energy to spend, not stamina, the energy to spend, and I'll get in that a second, you can cast magic. And that magic has a couple factors, but it will always take 7 to cast, and you'll go negative if you're at anything less than 7, which is fine. You just have to get it back. You get stamina back by the turn ending. That means everybody has gone their full amount that they can, including the enemy, and the turn ends and everybody goes back up to 7. Or, alternatively, when another character in your party uses normal attacks, your stamina goes up by some percentage of that attack's value. So a light attack will put it up by like 0.75 or something like that. Some weird amount like that. A medium attack will bring it up by like 1.5 or something.
Sure.
For all other characters who need stamina back. So, and additionally, when you land a hit, for your character, the energy bar for yourself increases. So you basically have your elements, which are your spells,
and items
laid out on this grid that has different slots at different tiers. So your tier 1 slot might have 6 different elements in it. Tier 2 may have 5, all the way up to however many tiers you have.
I think 9 is the top.
Okay. And I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did not finish this game. Was very busy in Seattle for 2 weeks, but is pretty far.
Yeah,
he's a little
18 hours.
over halfway.
Yeah.
I think. Well, maybe a little less than halfway if you're doing all the side content as well. But definitely far enough. He has not gotten to either of what I think are the 2 hardest bosses. So in the Isle of the Damned and in the Sea of Eden.
Yeah.
As well.
So that's to say, you can put magic. Every element has a plus-minus value. So if I have a level 3 spell with a plus-minus value of 2, I can slot that spell either 2 below a level 3 slot, so a tier 3 slot, or 2 above a level tier 3 slot. So it'll be either a -2, a +2, a -1, or a +1, or just as is. Some spells don't. Some need to be put in just slot 6, or just tier 6.
A lot of items only go in one
items, traps, which you can use to capture new spells, elements, which are unique. And some are specific if your character... I'll get there in a second. So if I use a spell if I've hit an enemy with a medium attack and a heavy attack, I have 5 tiers of energy.
Because that's 2 value and 3 value.
So if I use a tier 1 spell, it uses 7 stamina, but only uses 1 tier of magic. So if I had 5 tier, I go down to 4. And I can build that back up by getting a physical hit. Physical hit is what determines how much I can use. So you're kind of having to manage this system, make sure everybody has enough stamina, make sure you're not overexerting yourself, make sure everybody has the magic they need, just in case you get a hit, somebody has the heal, that's tier 4 primed, stuff like that. Every spell and item, element and item also has a color associated. There are 6 colors, yellow, green, red, blue, white, black. Every enemy and character has an association with one element in particular.
No, you can use any.
Yeah.
You can equip any item and any spell to any character, but their innate element is just one color.
And so every element opposes the other. So white and black are super effective against each other, and white is resistant to white. Yellow and green are super effective against each other. Yellow is resistant to yellow, green resistant to green. Right? That's a very simple format. There are elements that let you change temporarily your typing. There are certain elements that can only be used by a character of that typing. There's typically pretty powerful ones. Like on my white typed character, I actually have a spell that negates all magic damage on one character.
Yeah, I forgot about some of those.
I have it twice because it's just so good at keeping people alive. So yeah, really useful, interesting stuff like that. And so you're having to balance this. And to make this even more interesting, you have depending on where you are, there are 3 spots, for lack of a better word.
There's a field effect in the top left corner.
And so it's 3 spots. And when you use a move, the furthest out spot goes away and is replaced by the one that was below it. And everything shifts up. Yours goes into the first spot. The one that was in first spot goes to 2, 2 goes to 3, 3 goes away. There are 3 spots. And it's whatever color. If I used a white element or a white item, white goes in and the furthest goes away. And if you want to make your spells the most effective they can be, like if I have a really strong black element move, I want to build that up to be all black, because that's max damage. If there's 2 black, it's more damage than otherwise. 1 black, a little bit more. Alternatively, if there are 3 white in there, it will be the minimum amount of damage that spell can do. And especially if you're like, if you want to bring out the weakness of a boss or something, the boss is white typed, and you're trying to throw out black spells, they'll be throwing out white spells. Mm-hmm. So you're also negating their ability to do damage, but they're also trying to get their way in there, so that you can't. And the summons require that all 3 be the same color of the summon. So you really have to manage it. Have some nice low damage, low level elements to throw out there.
Yeah, what I like to do a lot is to build up that meter pretty fast. Is especially with Kid in the beginning to make sure that Steel is as effective as it can be. Her Pilfer ability is put red spells in, or items, typically items. I'll just use a tablet, which is the healing item, the potion in this case. I'll use it even if there's no one that needs to be healed, just because it's a red element. Yeah, just because
you're fulfilling another thing.
But I put it in the one slot of... So what I'll do is have Kid in my first party slot. So I'll land 1 hit with the 1 damage, use typically a fireball I've got equipped with her, and then I'll do the same with other characters. I have of my party, all 3 elements in the first slot for all 3 characters. So you can quickly manage that field effect by unlocking the first slot of your elements, the first tier, by landing a tier 1 attack. And so now you've only got 6 stamina left. And using the spell costs 7, but you're only at -1. So by the time I do that with the next character, usually I'm up there a little more. And when I get back around a Kid for that 4th attack, I can then use Pilfer.
And there's an opportunity cost to that, because now your characters are all at about 0 or -1 stamina, because you didn't use the full stamina bar of someone else to bring the rest of the parties back up.
Yes.
Right? So there's always a cost. It makes it interesting to think about. I like that everything has multiple uses. When you use a spell, it does damage, but it also has a field effect. It also is responding to other field effects currently active.
We played something... So this game is not particularly difficult. We've already mentioned that. But there's a lot to juggle and feel really good about successfully juggling. It's not... What did we play recently that felt just like that? Like, it was not difficult, but it had a lot going on and just felt good to play.
I don't recall.
I feel like there's something that... Yeah, it just made me feel good for being a badass, though was not particularly hard. Returnal. That was it. Returnal.
Yeah, super easy game.
Can't even keep a straight face.
Yeah, I'll have to try to think about that. I don't remember.
Was it Persona, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, Persona's... No, that's exactly what it was, because it's not a hard game at all, but it's so fun to, like, just start throwing out different personas and synergies and stuff.
That was probably it.
Yeah, that's a good game, man. That's a good game.
Agreed.
Ooh,
and Catherine is next, bro.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited for you. Another one that might make my top 10. This will be my 3rd or 3.5 playthroughs, something like that. And I don't know why I like it so much, other than the fact that there is literally nothing else like it. You won't find anything like Catherine. It is a wholly unique little work of art. But there's something so intoxicating about it to me. And I just love it so much, but I think Zack is going to be able to tell me why I like it. So that's another reason I'm like selfishly excited for him to play it.
Next is the party number, the amount of people that you can pick for your party. So you have 3 people in your party. 1 is set, and there are so many. You can only pick 2 other people. And you can get, what is it, like 20-something?
No, it's like 43, I think it is.
Yeah, that's insanity. And they don't all level up at the same time, so you have to, like, really babysit them, if you like them.
Now, you bring that up. We got to talk about the leveling system. and just how your rewards and player progression work. This is, at least for the time, was one of the first that did this. There are no random battles here. All of the enemies are on the field, and every fight can be ran away from at any time. You can just leave. You don't have to...
Boss fights.
Yeah, every single fight. It's not rolling, under the hood to see if your evasion is greater than theirs. You run away. You just leave. It's great. And then you can just re-engage immediately. You can use items that you have stockpiled, heal up, and then reassess your party makeup, and then walk back in and fight the boss. You don't have to die, reload at the start of the dungeon or something. It's great. But in addition to that, you don't have any experience in this game. Every area of the game that you enter into, and that's not to say every environment. It's sort of like each chapter of the game, basically, because you revisit a lot of places. The world is not super big. It feels really big. It feels like a pretty lived-in world, but it's not massive, and you revisit a lot of places. So each new chapter of the game, all of the enemies in the various areas you'll be going through in the chapters are going to give you some sort of stat increase when you defeat them. I actually think this is a lot like the EVs or maybe IVs of Pokemon. So like if you beat a Geodude, your strength goes up by 1 and your defense goes up by 2. Something like that. So every time you defeat this sort of monster, this element of character, I think, is going to get this sort of increase from that monster. But then it just sort of wanes after time. You cannot grind in this game because you will just start getting no return for that effort. And then every time you beat a boss or even like a mini boss sort of situation, a mid-dungeon boss, you get a star. And it's a new rank. You receive a new rank, which is a party-wide level up. So even when you equip a brand new character, so like right now, I'm 6 hours into the game, and there's a black character that I could have, a black element character that I could have gotten very early on. Did you get the voodoo doll?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and get him because I still don't have a black character right now. You could have gotten him very early on in the game. So now I'm, rank 12 or something, where when I could have gotten him I might have been rank 3, maybe. But now I'm rank 12. So he's not going to be a super weak character. He'll be below the curve because I've been using my characters and have gotten the increase from killing monsters. But because of the rank, every new character you equip is at the rank threshold. So they start already well leveled up. If I were to get him at super late game, he would already have his 9 tiers and his unique elements. Every character has 3 over the course of the game of their own special attacks. So you start there. You might want to do a little bit of grinding in that you just go kill
One of them literally summons a Megazord.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Have you gotten any of the joint attacks yet?
No.
So at some point you can get joint.
Classic JRPG.
Yes.
Just keep doling out those mechanics, baby.
Correct. So anyway, I really appreciate the leveling in this game. I hate grinding. I really, really hate grinding.
Yeah, me too.
And you don't have to here. It's good.
Yeah, I definitely do not like grindy games very much. That is for sure. But yeah, still a huge number of party members, and there's no way you're going to keep them all maxed out. You just have to kind of pick.
No, you just pick who you like. Yeah, that's
you just
all.
pick who you like.
And some of them are just silly inclusions, just to be fun. Some of them are serious to the story, but a lot of them are just like you get Korcha's mom. It's just silly. Yeah, I want to use Lena and Korcha's mom, who has a ladle and a pot.
Dude, Korcha's mom. Oof. What
Yeah.
a woman.
What a woman.
What a woman. So another little aspect of the game, exploration. There's really, like you said, it feels huge. There's really not that many screens when you compare it to other games. Because it's all hand-drawn backgrounds, which look Stunning.
Gorgeous, dude.
Stunning. And with the music, like it's just fun to like. Usually I would just sail to my destination, but like I would just sail over to other islands. Like, oh, can I go here yet? What does this look like? What's the music here? Like, it's a delight to explore. And there's very rarely any like major reward or anything, you know. It's just there. It's nice. So I want to kind of wrap up with an interesting thing. Do you think that you could recommend Chrono Cross to anyone?
Yes. Not everyone, but more people, I think, than I could recommend something like Final Fantasy VII to.
I agree with that statement. Who, because this is what I was thinking about, who is like the one main group that you'd have trouble recommending Chrono Cross to? Because for me, I think it's the generation right after us who are no longer children.
Interesting.
I think that they have a hard time with PS1 era turn-based games. I found that recommending that to that group, people probably around my brother's age who are not like my brother, who just act like they're 5 years older because they were raised with a brother 5 years older than them.
Sure.
Right? Like that group, I think they have trouble engaging with a game like this. The hand-drawn backgrounds, the slightly tedious progression of, you know, moving around, those kinds of backgrounds. The turn-based combat that doesn't have much besides the actual turn-based stuff going on. I found that I think it's hard to recommend them a game like Chrono Cross. I just don't think they play those games. I wouldn't recommend them any Final Fantasy games. Like, none of them. I wouldn't recommend them almost anything besides Pokemon that's turn-based. Like, I just wouldn't. I think that they maybe Undertale, but like
that's a different.
But like I think they
different tier.
That's a struggle.
Yeah.
For that generation of gamer.
I think I agree. I'm trying to think here, and I think I agree.
Because I thought kiddo, like a little kiddo, I said anything, they'll be hooked. Give them Chrono Cross, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. Hell, if you're a cool parent, Persona, like just give it to them. Like, you know.
I'd rather give. I don't know, actually. I was gonna say I'd rather give my kid Persona than Grand Theft Auto, but honestly, I feel like Persona's harder to handle. Like those are like real, like internalized struggles, especially Komoshido's castle.
Oh, it's so good.
You know, Grand Theft Auto is just silly.
Yeah, indeed. For I have like the gaming generation after ours. Like, I think that it'd be hard. I'd recommend them something like Persona. Like, if we're just talking about JRPGs specifically.
I recommend them Persona, but not SMT5.
No, not at all. It would be Persona. Persona 5.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the only one I can think of that I'd recommend to them.
Well, what about...
if you count Kingdom Hearts, I'd recommend
Final Fantasy 5? I mean, 15?
I don't think it's a good enough
Or even
game.
7.
I don't think it's a good enough... Oh, 7. I'd recommend
remake?
7 remake. Yeah, okay. I'd recommend 7.
Oh, but we're talking about turn-based. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking more turn-based.
You know, I would probably... God, I hate you. I really hate that we're doing this cast, that you have had an influence on me, and I genuinely, like, I really want to play Final Fantasy 13 now. Because until very recently, I have hated that game. But I did have very fond memories of the combat.
Me too.
It's an interesting evolution of the what was it, the active time battle, the little timer they have.
Yeah.
They include that, and so it's like pseudo turn based, but there's a sort of
there's like a
dynamic nature to it that is not seen.
Yeah, and there's like a templating system where you like template certain things, and like it's really unique.
Yeah, it's like, pretty interesting.
It's not quite as template-y as 12, but like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you have these little like kind of...
Well, that's something you can engage with in 12. I don't think you have to do that.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's a part of the progression.
But you're fighting like a massive boss.
But you can literally program your entire party and leave for 24 hours while they fight a boss that takes 24 hours.
It's insane.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That's insane.
I want to play that game so bad, dude.
Me too.
So bad.
Okay, someone getting back into games.
What to recommend to them, or could I recommend Chrono Cross?
Like, let's say, no, can you? Yeah, you can. No, you can recommend Chrono Cross.
Getting
but like, I
back
just mean
into
like
games.
anything. Like you're gonna recommend.
Okay, just general.
They have fond memories of playing turn-based JRPGs. They can't really name you one that they liked. But
yeah, I would say Chrono Cross is a pretty good recommendation if they remember enjoying them. But someone getting back into games, that's hard. Like, what games may they have played in the past?
Exactly. I would say Final Fantasy IV is a good bet for like a turn-based JRPG.
If they played those, but Stardew Valley
is like intentionally vague. They're getting back into games and want a JRPG.
They're asking for a JRPG. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Then sure. Final Fantasy IV. Or if you got a DS to loan them. I don't know. I obviously like 4 more. And in the situation with you and me, we would probably be loaning the console as well. I like Final Fantasy IV, but I do wonder if Final Fantasy III on the DS.
It's so grindy though.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while. I don't know.
So grindy. In fact, I think on a ranking I was looking at, the community voted it the grindiest Final Fantasy game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, maybe not then.
Yeah.
4 on the DS.
4
is
is
so
nice
good.
because it's so linear. You don't even get to choose your party. It just dumps who's in your party on you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's gone.
And you can use debuffs on the bosses.
Debuffs on bosses.
God.
Come on, Final Fantasy.
I don't even know why I decided to try to poison a boss. Like, I knew it wasn't going to work, but I did. I tried it, and it freaking worked. I was like, what is this? I'm going to put you to sleep right now. I put him to sleep.
Yeah, it's so satisfying. Buff your whole party, wake them up.
Yeah, wake him up with a super strong attack.
Just the club. Just buy him. Yeah, it's really satisfying.
I don't know why, but I've always remembered. It's been so many years since I've played that game. Like probably 12 years, even more maybe. Final Fantasy IV. But I just remember the boss and the boss fight for Cervantes, the fire guy.
Oh, yeah.
And his 3 wenches.
Wenches.
I don't know why I remember that.
Okay. Second to last question. Someone who has never played a video game before but refuses to play anything as their first game except the JRPG.
What? Persona 5.
You just slap them. Yeah, I think that's
no,
fair.
I would try to dissuade them from playing a JRPG for their first video game, but it would be Persona 5.
What for that old lady? The SMT fan?
Yeah, fine. That's 1 in a million.
No, but you're right. I would also say
she's
Persona
really cool.
5.
We'll post that story. She's so cool. Her I think what happened was her son died, and she had a PlayStation 3 that she had won, and it was just like sitting in this junk room of theirs, and she moved it out of the room, set it in the hallway to sort of remind herself to sell it, and then she kept like literally stubbing her toe on it, and she tried to sell it and could not sell it. It was unopened, and several pawn shops thought that it was stolen, and this was well into the PS4, so GameStop was not taking it, or wherever, EB Games, whatever was in that area. But she's like, whatever, give me some games then. I'll go play it. And she did. She played a few. Brave was one of her first games, the Disney Brave game. A Hatsune Miku game was one of the first. She brought like 3 games home. And she eventually came upon somehow, I don't know how she did on the... Oh, yeah, she opened up the PlayStation Store and was blown away by the fact that video games are so prevalent. There are so many. And I think it was SMT4 that she downloaded from the like PS2 classics. And
3?
No,
4's DS.
No. Oh, SMT. I'm sorry, Persona 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Persona 4. And now
3DS,
owns and has completed every Persona and SMT game.
I love that series. I think it's a great series. I've played only SMT5 and Persona 5, but I see so much potential in what those games are offering.
I did not like Persona 5. I mean,
whatever.
No, SMT5. It was fun. The loop was fun.
No, I agree.
I just don't think
not
I'll
even
ever
one of my
go back
favorite
to
games, but I see now why someone would love an SMT3.
Yes, I would like to go back and play 4 specifically. For Persona, I really want to play 3 portable. We should really do an episode
2,
one time.
Both the 2s and 4.
Oh yeah, 2 as well. Definitely. The graphic style for 2 is
character design looks awesome.
Amazing. If we ever play 3 though, we should do you do 3 and I'll do 3 portable.
Sure.
Because you want to do 3 more, right?
Then what?
Portable.
Yeah, I want to do classic 3.
Yeah. The change in format is not only interesting, the fact that they changed the format, but the format seems like it might even be preferable to me.
And it's an interesting structure for the game too, where it's just one big central dungeon, you know. At least, like,
I guess
I'm
focusing. Focusing on the stuff outside of the dungeon.
Yeah, you're talking about like how they changed the way you progress through the overworld, quote unquote. And
Yeah,
you're just kind of doing these slides and stuff in the portable. Yeah. No, I mean like the
it's
structure.
It's more like a modern
game,
dating sim,
and it just being this kind of central dungeon. I think that's interesting. All right, last question. 2 people that our audience would know who've appeared on the cast. If you don't know these people, go back, look for some episodes with them. Recommend a JRPG to Amanda, and recommend a JRPG to Nick.
Okay.
So Amanda's my wife. She's been on a few times. Check out the Resident Evil 2 episode. Nick, my younger brother, has been on twice, I think, for the Mega Man Battle Network episode and one of the very early episodes.
Yeah.
Paper Mario.
That's right.
So yeah, check them out. You'll get a feel for their personality. What would you recommend to Amanda?
To Amanda. That's interesting because her taste has evolved lately.
Yeah, it's a little harder to pin down right now.
Yeah, it is currently evolving. And all of ours are always evolving, but she's really coming in. She's always played games, but she's played a type of game or 2 types of games.
Yeah, she's played survival horror and tactical RPGs.
Tactical RPGs? I
guess that's what you call Fallout, right?
Oh, Fallout. Yeah, I forgot about Fallout. No, I wouldn't call Fallout tactics, but yeah, I forgot about Fallout. I did forget. So Fallout, Resident Evil, and Pokemon, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And I guess, well, this was her first Animal Crossing, but it has a big chunk of her life for a year and a half.
For a while, yeah.
So anyway,
it's hard to pin down.
Yeah,
I would say an easy answer would be Persona 5.
Easy answer is always Persona 5.
Yeah, Persona 5 is easy.
And I was gonna say that for both of them, but I want to say something else.
Yeah.
It's just so good though.
For Nick, it'd be easier. I think for Nick, I would have a pretty easy time recommending like Final Fantasy Tactics to him.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have a very easy time recommending that game to him.
I would probably go with something like Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together.
Yeah, anything like that.
One, because I think it's a little more polished. That I've not played it. I've only seen it. I think it's a little more polished than Tactics. And it's easy to make a mistake in Tactics, not just because you misplayed something, but just shifting through the menus and making some sort of mispress. It's easy to make a mistake.
It counts. Also, Fire Emblem Awakening.
Maybe. In Let Us Cling Together, though, you can literally just keep pressing the circle button to the very beginning of the match. It memorizes the entire match, and you can go every single move back. So I think for Nick, he would probably appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't think he would abuse it. It can probably easily be abused, but yeah, just that it's a little cleaner. So something like that. I don't know
think
if
Amanda
I would
like Persona 4 a lot, based on like the characters and the style.
Yeah, it does have a different style.
And
Yeah, same
like
kind of
handheld.
game. Same kind of game for sure. Why the hell isn't that on Switch?
It's a great question, but I'm fine to play it on Vita.
Oh yeah, of course. But
I want to play it so bad.
Yeah, Switch would be a good play. Just it's free money, dude. Just put it on a Switch,
money.
bro.
But yeah, dude, Persona 5 is just the easy answer. I think
It's
that's
the easiest answer all around. I don't know if I would count for this discussion.
I wouldn't.
I don't think I'd count
I wouldn't.
Fire Emblem, and I hesitate to even count
Tactics games.
Tactics. There's more JRPG elements in those games for sure. In Final Fantasy Tactics. But I don't think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, dude, the go-to. Persona 5 is the golden standard these
I also
days.
think that Nick would get a lot out of something like Final Fantasy 15, because I know I did. Like, even though it's pretty flawed, but it really got me to like, okay, let's play some JRPGs. Let's do this.
Interesting.
And the whole like road trip stuff and the style of it.
Yeah,
like,
that's what's really that's the one thing that interests me about the game is that just why isn't there a cast of women? Because I'm making a bro road trip. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the answer. I like those things.
Yeah, a bro road trip, man. Oh, classy.
Yeah. That
Classy.
seems, we don't have, what other game is just about four
Guys
best
being
friends?
dudes.
Just guys being dudes, you know? And Sid.
I've come
I
up with
love
a
that
new
Sid
recipe.
in this game is Sid. In this game, exactly what she is, and just in the context of guys being dudes.
Yeah,
you know.
it's,
Yeah, I should play 15.
Yeah, I also
Seems
just
good.
love, dude, Ignis. What a gent, dude. I've come up with a new recipe. oh yeah, he's a delight. I'm still.
He's the burly one,
no,
right?
tall, lanky, like cook. He's the cook, the chef.
Who's the big boy?
I forget his name. Why am I forgetting his name?
And who's the
Noctis?
Can I
the
say
prince?
twink?
I don't know. Is that allowed?
I don't know. Forgive me if it isn't. I really don't know.
Yeah,
He's like twink adjacent.
Beaver. He's little J Beebs.
Yeah.
He's
Who is he?
He's he's kind of the runt.
What's
He's
his name?
great. I don't remember. Dude, it's been so long. I played this game like 2017. I think
Oh, okay.
it's been 5 years. Noctis and dude Ignis. Dude, it's just he's so good.
Ignis is the big boy.
No, he's a tall.
You just said that.
he's
Yeah,
tall.
I don't know the names.
Dude,
I don't know the
when
names,
Kingdom
dude.
Hearts 3 revealed that it was Remy is your chef from Ratatouille,
Yeah.
I kind of was sad.
Oh, that it
I
wasn't.
wasn't wanting it to be Ignis. I was like,
Yeah, but aren't they moving away pretty
they
largely
are.
from Final Fantasy?
They did do in Dream Drop Distance. They had the World Ends With You characters,
Yeah.
which was cool. We need to play that, man.
Yes.
Talk about a JRPG we need to play.
Yes. That also is. Yes, is technically a JRPG. I don't think that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, more that than a tactics game. I'd
Yes,
say.
sure.
But yeah, to sum it up, I know we didn't talk a whole lot about Chrono Cross specifically, but all the things that Chrono Cross brought out in us is definitely more interesting anyway.
Yeah, well, let me sort of cap us off here with a little bit specifically about Chrono Cross and a recommendation. You know, a lot of people talk about Chrono Trigger as one of the best JRPGs of all time. Maybe. It's a very good game. I didn't finish it. I played through about half of it well after my second playthrough of Chrono Cross, so maybe there's some bias there. But, you know, don't be dissuaded by people saying that this game is not a very good sequel, that Chrono Trigger is better. Forget it. It has nothing to do with Chrono Trigger. Just consider it, you know, for its own merits.
Like an anthology.
Sure.
The Chrono Anthology.
Sure.
With 2 games.
Well, I guess 3 if you consider Radical Dreamers.
No, nobody does.
I would.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I didn't play it. I should. It's really awesome that they included it in this package. But there's just something so magical about this game. You know, you liken it to Kingdom Hearts. I likened it, oddly enough, the other day when we were talking. I likened it to Gilmore Girls. I have watched and am currently watching Gilmore Girls 7 times. Currently watching it for the 7th time on season 5 of 7. And the title sequence to that is just, what is the term? Panacea? So it just fixes everything.
Yeah.
It's just a warm blanket. And being in Chrono Cross is like that to me. I didn't realize I would be so giddy playing this game again on you know, a modern handheld console, and in a way that I can give to pretty much anybody. That's one of my favorite things about having this remake, is that it's on the shelf ready to be given to anybody, and an easy way to pass down to my kids. But that aside, it like Persona 5 has a lot going on under the hood, but it's very accessible, and is just difficult enough to make you feel rewarded for doing well, but it lets you be awesome. Like it is not super difficult. It's easy to just fall back on, go to sleep with like a comfortable book. It's really great. I think there are a few things like it. Final Fantasy IX might fit in there. But I don't even think something like Final Fantasy VII is like that. Because Final Fantasy VII it's got plenty of silly moments, but it carries more weight than Chrono Cross, I think, in terms of like how serious it is. The stakes. Yeah, the stakes. That's it.
Dude, and like you can't tell me that the Sephiroth theme in the final boss fight is like a, hopeful little like, oh yeah, we're gonna beat the bad guy. That's like, you're all doomed.
Yeah.
Like the world
That's
is
it,
ending,
the stakes.
Everything is irrecoverable. Give up.
Yeah.
Like it's such a great theme.
I
Arguably
just
one
love
of the greatest themes in video games.
It's up there, dude. It's up there. Wow, One Winged Angel is so good.
It's so good.
So good.
I love the SpongeBob one.
Oh
stepping on the beat.
Just the dee-diddly.
It's so good.
Oh, don't remind me. Anyway, yeah, definitely give it a shot. It's very accessible now. It's $19.99 digitally on PlayStation and Switch. Do you know if it's on PC? I don't know if it's on PC. But you could emulate there. Anyway, it's $19.99 on PS4 and Switch. There is a physical copy on Switch that you can import from Japan with the English, English language. Give it a shot. It's a worthwhile classic and is very near and dear to my heart and is something pretty unique. Especially, like Zack was saying, if you want to relive the wonder of playing Kingdom Hearts for the first time, you could do much worse than Chrono Cross. So please just give this classic a shot. It's a great time to play it. But I don't think I have anything else, Zach.
I'm good.
What about you?
Play this game.
Yes, do play this game. Next episode, I'm going to be sharing yet another one of my favorites I've already mentioned. Catherine. We'll both be playing the PS3, so Catherine Classic. I have played, my last playthrough was Catherine Full Body. I went with the new character, Rin, in that game. I'll talk about her a little bit, but we're going to be focusing on the, I think, more focused story of Catherine Classic. So join us for that if you want to hear about one of Atlus's more unique games.
And that's saying something.
It's saying something. They got stuff like Baroque over there, which I actually don't know how unique that is.
It's very unique.
Trauma Center,
very odd.
yeah.
Dungeon crawler.
Contact is wild. They have such an eclectic catalog, and this goes up there with some of their most unique stuff. And I am excited to hear Troy Baker's voice again. But folks, we are at the end here, and I'm excited to keep playing Chrono Cross. I still have some more, and you're a little more than halfway through. But folks, please do not forget to share what you love with who you love.